Despite on what you might think, even though I really hated Cutie Remarked, I think Shadowplay is by far the worst. Why? Because this had so many interesting opportunities, but it fails to deliver. We start with a narrated backstory that a pony brought together 6 magical ponies called the Pillars of Equestria, one of them being Starswirl the Bearded, to defend the realm from danger. But said pony got jealous and stole items from them to get more powerful. But the Pillars found out and kicked him out. That pony turned into a shadowy monster called the Pony of Shadows. Isn't that an imaginative name? Cut to, I don't know, 10,000 years later, Twilight and her friends are reading Starswirl's journal, and are trying to find out what happened to the Pillars. They do some research and find out that the Pillars banished themselves and the Pony of Shadows into Limbo. And like a frickin' moron, Twilight decides that she wants to bring the Pillars back. Why? Because she feels that Equestria will be safer with them around. Yeah, like it's not just as safe with you already. So they have to collect these items that belong to the Pillars. They do so, but not only do they bring the Pillars back, but also the Pony of Shadows as well. Oops. So now, the ponies and the Pillars have to find a way to banish the Pony of Shadows back to Limbo. But Starlight seems to be having second thoughts. Let's talk about the good stuff first. For one, I really like the build-up and the mystery. The ponies, as well as the audience, are trying to figure out what's going on. It's kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark in a way. But that's only in the first part of the 2-part. What problems do I have with this episode? Well, like friendship games, there's too many things going on, too much world building, and too many characters, and too much exposition. But there's nothing much actually happening. And what makes it even worse than friendship games is that it's even more complicated to follow. There's so much stuff crammed in. For example, the ponies have to find these items which honestly would have been their own episodes. Spike and Rainbow Dash have to beat Garble in a lava surfing contest. That could be its own episode. Rarity refurbishing a garden. That can be its own episode. Fluttershy trying to help Bayou animals. Again, can be its own episode. The episode is confused on who the focus of the episode should be. Starlight or Twilight. At first, it seems to be about Twilight trying to show Starswirl that she's a good enough magic user. Then the episode decides to make the focus on Starlight, thinking that banishing the Pony of Shadows is wrong. And to make the other characters look either stupid or just plain mean. Hell, they even make Twilight not being able to understand bad handwriting. Yeah, it's pretty painful. Aren't interesting either. Like I said in the last review, they're underdeveloped. But I didn't let it bother me there because these were just characters in a story. But here, it's a major issue, mainly because they have no personality. For example, there's this scene where they're in the city. Now this could be a very interesting scene, where they see how much has changed during all those years, but it's just glossed over. What makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe work is that we saw all the personalities of those characters, and it's such a big deal when they come together. Don't take that the wrong way. Speaking of pillars, Starswirl is a huge letdown. First off, tell me that isn't the most generic looking Starswirl. I mean, out of all the creative and unique designs from the fandom, as well as the comics, this is what they come up with? Probably isn't something to write home about either. In the comics, he was actually a pretty enjoyable character. He was wise and all-knowing, but he was also funny as hell. But here, he's just a jerk, but not in the fun way, in the more of a grumpy know-it-all way. How is that fun? The villain. I don't know if fans really like this guy or not, but I found him to be the most forgettable villain ever put in MLP. I don't remember a thing about this guy. His design is boring. Everything he says is boring. Everything he does is boring. This is an Elthric terror with power of darkness, and I can't remember a thing about him. There's also his backstory, which makes the Pillars look like assholes and him looking like an idiot. And to top it all off, it's just the raging she-demon stuff we've seen to death in the Equestria Girls movies. Why can't we have a villain that just wants to be evil for the sake of being evil? And when it's revealed who this character is, all I'm thinking is, no. It's not Clover the Clever. Now wait a minute. In the second season, Clover was described being Star Swirl's apprentice. And that's sort of this character is. Why wasn't this Clover the Clever? You could have explained that Clover got sick of Star Swirl's behavior and was seduced by the darkness or something like that, and became the Poniest Shadows. We wouldn't mind this being a corrupted Clover the Clever. Have other flaws and things that don't make sense, but describing each and every one of them will make this video really long. The episode is once again written by Josh Haber, which can really explain a lot about the flaws. Yeah, out of all the MLP episodes I had to watch this year, this one really felt like the worst. It's way too complicated, way too cluttered, and way too confusing to follow. If you watch this just to be done with Season 7, I say go for it, but if you're looking for something that has the magic of the first 4 seasons, then this is really out of date.